Cyberpunk, a genre that emerged at the forefront of sci-fi in the early 80s, has surprisingly not lost its vitality or importance almost 5 decades later. Let's explore our list of the top 10 cyberpunk movies, where the future is bleak, but the style is impeccable. But first, we must mention several notable films that are frequently, and mistakenly, labeled as cyberpunk and consistently included in these curated lists of cyberpunk movies. Just because a movie features technology and dystopian vibes doesn't make it cyberpunk. Here are some prominent examples. Metropolis. This silent film is a masterpiece of early cinema, but cyberpunk as a literary movement didn't emerge until the late 70s. Labeling a 1927 movie about class struggle as cyberpunk is simply incorrect. Yet people do it all the time. Hackers. Yes, it's about hacking and the internet, but it's not cyberpunk. The tone is more lighthearted teenage rebellion than gritty future dystopia. Total Recall. While Total Recall includes high-tech elements and themes of identity crisis, it's more of a sci-fi action flick than a true cyberpunk narrative. Dark City, an important precursor to The Matrix and other similar films released in 1999, Dark City is a beautifully crafted story about identity and control. However, it leans more towards metaphysical noir than cyberpunk dystopia. Akira. Though it's a staple on best cyberpunk movies lists, Akira isn't really cyberpunk. While it contains some classic elements of the genre, calling it purely cyberpunk is a stretch. And now that we've finished with the necessary introduction, let's move on to a proper list of cyberpunk films. 10. Johnny Mnemonic. Johnny Mnemonic is a very important movie for the genre, but it's not exactly a good movie. Well, actually, sometimes it's so bad it's good. But that's one of the genre's essentials. First of all, because it is loosely based on William Gibson's short story, and Gibson is one of the founding fathers of the whole thing. Second, there's Keanu Reeves, who would later become the #1 cyberpunk actor in history. This film is an interesting and important relic from the 90s, and one hell of a nostalgia trip. 9. New Rose Hotel. Now this is a proper adaptation of a William Gibson story, staying very close to the source material. New Rose Hotel is a relatively low-budget film starring Willem Dafoe and Christopher Walken as corporate espionage middlemen, with Asia Argento in one of her most memorable roles. The film is more cerebral than tech-heavy, which is sometimes a good thing. It's stylish, moody, and confusing in all the right ways. Yeah, and it also stars Yoshitaka Amano. 8. Nirvana. Nirvana is an Italian oddity starring Christopher Lambert. The film follows a video game designer whose latest creation becomes self-aware, leading him on a quest through the grungy streets of a future metropolis. While Nirvana is occasionally cheesy, it remains very faithful to the genre and, in some ways, quite unique. 7. Minority Report. This is the first movie adaptation of Philip K. Dick on our list. And there are 3 of them, which is interesting because Philip K. Dick isn't really a cyberpunk author. Set in 2054, Spielberg's high-budget take on Dick's short story is a sleek, paranoid thriller where pre-crime units arrest you for things you might do. It features all the classic cyberpunk elements: tech gone awry, moral ambiguity, and a creepy police state. Plus, it's still fun to watch. 6. Strange Days. Strange Days presents a future where people's memories can be recorded and sold, a very cyberpunk concept borrowed directly from William Gibson. Ralph Fiennes plays an ex-cop turned memory dealer, navigating a grimy, violent Los Angeles on the brink of the millennium. It's a fever dream of paranoia, police brutality, and voyeuristic obsession. Number 5. Blade Runner 2049. A visually stunning follow-up to the 1982 classic Blade Runner 2049 is 2 hours and 44 minutes of slow-burn cyberpunk, at times surpassing the original. We can debate endlessly if it is really the sequel everyone wanted, but you cannot deny the power of Villeneuve's creative vision. Even on its own, Blade Runner 2049 stands as one of the most potent films in the genre, and arguably the most beautiful. 4. Dredd. Dredd wasn't successful at the box office, but gained a cult following and almost won an Oscar for the best movie of all time, though it supposedly lost to Highlander at the last moment. The plot is straightforward. Dredd and his rookie partner are trapped in a gigantic city-sized skyscraper controlled by a ruthless drug lord. Unlike the campy 1995 version with Sylvester Stallone, Dredd, 2012, is lean, mean, and utterly brutal. Number 3, The Matrix. The Matrix is usually regarded as one of the quintessential cyberpunk movies, and one of the most successful. The problem is, it's one of those examples where you can debate whether it's truly cyberpunk or if it just borrows a couple of elements from the genre. We included The Matrix in this list nonetheless, simply because it's too important to all things cyberpunk. It was a cultural event in 1999, which was a fascinating year for cinema, as it saw the release of at least 3 cyberpunk films exploring similar themes: Existence and The 13th Floor. All of this was preceded by Dark City from 1998, their direct precursor. The Matrix is the best of the bunch, a truly groundbreaking movie. Number 2, Ghost in the Shell. Arguably the best cyberpunk anime, Ghost in the Shell dives deep into questions of identity, consciousness, and the nature of existence, all wrapped in a visually stunning package. The amusing thing here is that the source material, Masamune Shiro's manga, is far less serious in tone. It was Mamoru Oshii who transformed it into a philosophically rich, transhumanist epic. He tried to replicate its success with the direct sequel, Innocence, but to put it mildly, it didn't work out as well. If Ghost in the Shell sometimes bordered on self-indulgence, Innocence boldly crossed that line. Before we reveal that the number 1 movie on our list is obviously Blade Runner, let's go through the obligatory honorable mentions section first. Existence. Existence is more biopunk than cyberpunk, or biohorror if you will. But its inclusion in these top cyberpunk movies lists is justified. This film feels more like a Philip K. Dick story than the actual adaptations of his work. It's pure paranoia and a never-ending living nightmare. The 13th Floor. Released the same year as Existence and The Matrix, The 13th Floor explores a similar concept, but with a lot less kung fu. While it lacks the polish and cultural impact of its better-known counterparts, it is still a thoroughly enjoyable story. Gattaca. Gattaca isn't entirely cyberpunk, or if you prefer, it's retro-futuristic cyberpunk focused on genetic engineering. Often overlooked, this hidden gem deserves your attention. It presents a clean, oppressive vision of the future where dystopia stems not from computers, but from humanity's obsession with perfection. Number 1, Blade Runner. Blade Runner is destined to top nearly every list of cyberpunk movies. While it may not be the most entertaining film in today's selection, its cultural impact is absolutely enormous in every aspect imaginable. William Gibson, author of Neuromancer, mentioned that he was shocked by how closely the visuals in Blade Runner matched the picture he had in his mind while writing his book. Although Blade Runner isn't based on a true cyberpunk work, it became the blueprint for the entire art direction associated with the genre. It also tells a deeply intriguing, multi-layered story, a very cyberpunk story, that continues to provoke discussion even today, even after the release of its official sequel. That's it for today. If you want to explore what cyberpunk really is, check out the video on this channel dedicated to a quick explanation of the genre, its origins, and its main tropes.